And next we have our speaker. So Tyler, I'll just talk a little bit about this, highlight, because I know you have a lot of this in the deck that you have. So your love of science grew out of a membership to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which I can totally understand. The amount of life that you see at the aquarium is just very inspiring. Joined the Cub Scouts, which also spreaded your love of the environment and the outdoors, as well as conservation projects. When you moved to the Sierra Nevadas, you joined the Natural Resource Program, which has its own campus devoted to making the program and the community a better place. You also worked on a forestry challenge and won the award. And so I'm sure you'll be telling us a little bit about that during your talk today. You became the Natural Resources Program's community service organizer and hold the position of vice president. Since your freshman year, you've been an active member of the school's chapter of Friday Night Live, an organization that aims to bring youth together and engage them in fun activities. And most recently, you co-founded the Beekeeping Club, which I'm really eager to hear about because I think bees are critical to our success on this planet. And you'll also talk about the Washington Youth Summit, which is a program that our Rotary Club raised some money and are soon to be sending you money via Venmo for your trip to Washington, D.C. So with that, I will stop sharing that deck, go off camera, and bring up your deck, Tyler. So just tell me, where is it? Tell me when to move to the next slide. I think I can get to it from here. Hold on. Yes. All right. So just tell me when you're ready to move and I will go on mute. Welcome, Tyler.
Okay, start off. Again, I'm Tyler. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today I am doing a presentation on just sharing my love of science and our environment. And I will also be talking about the Washington Youth Summit on the environment, which is held in Fairfax, Virginia, right outside of DC, and is hosted by the George Mason University. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, just a picture of me so you could, I don't know, see what I look like since my camera is not working today. I want to teach you about the environment and share my love of the environment, and hopefully you love it too. Next slide. Perfect. So today I wanted to start off with a little quote by Teddy Roosevelt. To waste, to destroy our natural resources, to skin and exhaust the land instead of using it so as to increase its usefulness, will result in undermining in the days of our children the very prosperity which we ought by right to hand down to them amplified and developed. Next slide. So first, I'm just going to talk about share some about myself and my love of the environment. Next slide. Okay, so brief little passage about me. So I'm originally from San Jose, California. When I was about 3 years old, my parents got divorced, which prompted prompted my mom to start taking me on all these little adventures, a lot of which were to the Monterey Bay Aquarium because of a membership from my grandparents. When I was in second grade, I decided to join the Cub Scouts because of my love of nature, and I wanted to learn new skills and be with fellow like-minded individuals who wanted to learn about the outdoors, nature, survival skills.
I just
And during
echoing.
during 2020, amid the pandemic, my family decided to move up to the Sierra Nevadas. Now I am currently a junior at El Dorado High School, and I am a member of our natural resources program. Next slide, please. Okay, so my passion for natural resources. Next. Thank you. So first, I'm going to talk about the natural resources program. So I'm just going to call it NR for short, because natural resources is a long name. In NR, we learn about forestry, wildlife biology, fire ecology, hydrology, gross ecology, being like ecology as a whole, and quite a few more topics, along with learning more specifically about birds, and also about we learned a lot about different insects, how they help our ecosystem. Um, once so NR is a 4-year program that most people join when they are a freshman in high school. It is open to people who are not freshmen. You can start at any grade level. We just recommend that you start freshman year. So upperclassmen, being juniors and seniors, we are encouraged within our class to share our more specific interests so that our teacher, Miss Potter, can tailor the class to our interests to an extent. So I like to learn a lot about forestry, and my teacher knows this, and I conveyed this to her. So we did a little bit more of an extensive forestry unit this year, which was amazing. We learned a lot about trees, how they grow, as well as what we can do to protect trees and what to look for in trees to make sure that they are healthy, and if they are not, what you can do about it. Right now, I am also currently focusing on beekeeping, as I am the co-founder and vice president of my school's beekeeping club. At the NR East Campus, we have 2 beehives currently. We will be getting 3 more over the summer. And beekeeping is just absolutely amazing. I really like it because bees are such a vital vital part of our lives, which I'll talk more about a little later. And then also a part of the natural resources program, we go to competitions such as the California Forestry Challenge, where we are given scenarios that we have to solve. Next slide, please. So here I'm going to talk a little bit more about Forestry Challenge. These are some pictures that we've taken in the past at Forestry Challenge. The first image is me and my friends when we won my freshman year. And so Forestry Challenge is a competition focused on forestry for high schoolers. Occasionally, there are 8th graders let into the program. It educates us about forest ecology and management through hands-on experiences, such as an activity called timber cruising, which is where we go out into the forest in whatever region we're participating in. And we take measurements of the trees. We find out, is each of those trees in the plot that we're focusing on, are they healthy? Are they not healthy? How many trees are in the plot? How many square feet of what's called basal area? So that would be the area of the tree if you were to cut it off at 4.5 feet, which is considered breast height in forestry. And by calculating the basal area, we can determine if a plot of trees is healthy or unhealthy. To keep in mind, um, most healthy stands of trees have a basal area of about 75 square feet, which is incredibly small. Most of our forests, especially in California right now, a 1 acre plot has a typical basal area of about 300 square feet per acre, which is incredibly unhealthy. And that is why California is sadly prone to wildfires. So Forestry Challenge, they teach us, like I said, they teach us scientific principles like tree identification and forest management, and how teach us how to think like foresters so that we can protect the forests in our areas. Uh, they also, as a part of the competition, we do field tests in the areas that they train us on, such as tree identification, uh, tree measuring, uh, board feet calculating, which is calculating how many usable uh, usable feet of wood is in a specific tree. And we have to do presentations similar to this, um, with our plan that we came up with according to the focus topic that they gave us. So in 2022, me and my friends Charlie, Julian, and Trevor won the El Dorado event of Forestry Challenge. So we were up in Forest Hill at a property belonging to a large church group in Northern California. Our job was to come up with a timber harvest plan so that we could properly thin the trees in the surrounding area and um, make the forest in that area healthy. Last year, I was not able to attend, sadly, due to a family emergency. But my friends went back to win it again for a second year in a row. And then this year, we decided to go to the Santa Cruz event. Um, and we won it again for a third year in a row. This year, we had to come up with a solution on how to, instead of thinning a forest, how to restore a forest in Santa Cruz after the CZU complex fire back in, I think that was 2023. Because as of right now, due to the CZU fire, a lot of the forests have been permanently damaged, where to the point where trees are not growing back like they should. So we had to come up with a plan as to what we could do to clear out the area so that of burn scar damage, so that we could get the area to regrow like it should. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about pollinators, more specifically bees and apiaries, which are uh, beehives that humans make. So first, give you a little background on beekeeping. It actually originated in a ancient Israeli colony called Tel Rahov, where, as you can see in the image on the left, beehives were actually typically about 6 foot tall structures made of hundreds of cylindrical clay pipes, typically around 4 feet long, that were cemented together using clay as well. and the bees would take up the entire pipe. And for reference, um, a colony of bees has anywhere between 10,000 and 30,000 bees. So that is the amount of bees in one hive. So each of these cylindrical hives, each cylinder would hold about 10,000 to 30,000 bees. So looking at this here, you have easily over 100 different hives in just one small vicinity, which nowadays is something we couldn't even think of because um, our modern beekeeping methods don't allow for this kind of uh, compact beekeeping. Uh, Nowadays, in modern times, we use removable hive frames, which are a wooden board with a piece of plastic in the center that the bees build their comb on so that they can produce new drone bees. And then also there's a second type of hive frame called a uh, bee brood or a bee, sorry, not bee brood, a honey super frame. And that is a special type of frame that the bees know to only produce honey in as opposed to drone bees. Um, so beekeeping nowadays is a very complex thing that not many people understand how important it really is to us. If all bees were to cease to exist, all of human life would die within 4 days. Um, so that gives you an idea of how incredibly important bees are to us. Um, so part of what I do at my campus is I am currently expanding all of our hives, and I hope to, by the end of next year, have 8 hives spread around our 40-acre campus, um, just to be able to help the environment and give the bees a place to live. Because with a lot of modern housing developments, trees are knocked down, and the places where bees could once create their own natural hives are gone. Um, a lot of smaller trees like maples and smaller like household trees that you'll see in your front yard cannot sustain a beehive. So that's why it is important to have coastal redwoods, sugar pine trees, ponderosa pine trees, much larger oaks like a large black oak, um, because those kind of trees can actually sustain the bee and pollinator life that is necessary for our survival. Um, and the reason the trees are knocked down is because um, the investigators that go onto properties before they're developed to see to make sure there's no endangered species do not they do not know how to check for bee establishments in the area. And even if they find them, their protocol typically dictates that they are not uh, they are not considered an endangered species, so you can build there, even though they are definitely an endangered species. And they are recognized as an endangered species nationally and worldwide. Um, so, how can we help bees? So, something I recommend doing is it's super simple, even if you live in an apartment, if you have a patio or any sort of outside access, you can put even the smallest little flower plant, and that can help sustain uh, bee and other pollinator life so that um, the whole ecosystem is healthier. and so that we stay healthy, because they also uh, help control our allergies. So if bees also cease to exist, our allergies would be everyone would have allergies, and our allergies would be incredibly severe. You can also, to help bees, you can also buy or make what's called a bee hotel, which is typically a wooden frame that you then put cylinders in, uh, that are closed off on one end so that the bees can nest in there and uh, create more worker bees and queen bees. Um, these are both great options to help promote bee life in your area. Uh, and both of these options are uh, typically not very invasive to your home. Even if you are worried about bees and don't like bees near you, or have any aversion to bees, these are both safe options. Um, Another thing is I recommend using a website called Calscape, among other websites. You can use this website to search up native plants to your area, which further help bees as opposed to using invasive species. Um, Next slide, please.
Hey,
Okay.
Tyler,
Yes.
could you put that link to the site on in the chat when you have a chance?
Yes, definitely.
Thanks.
So now I'm going to talk about the summit. Next slide. Okay. So first, the university that hosts the Washington Youth Summit on the Environment is George Mason University, which is a highly renowned public uh, university in Fairfax, Virginia. Um, they were recently recognized in the past decade as having and achieving the highest standard for research-based um, classes and courses in all of the United States. So the university has partnered with the Smithsonian, uh, the Smithsonian Conservation and Biology Institute, to create a college within the university, focusing on conservation and natural resources. They have within the that college, they have three main degree tracks: conservation, biodiversity, and society, wildlife ecology and conservation, and endangered species in conservation. They also offer a variety of other science degrees, such as psychology, neurology, as well as different degrees not necessarily focusing on conservation, such as agriculture, hydrology, which is studying water, which sounds not incredibly entertaining, but um, it actually can be, surprisingly. They also have a couple of other incredibly amazing uh, programs that they offer, such as their environmental law and policy program, which is one of the top environmental law programs in the United States currently. Next slide. Okay, so the Washington Scholars Program. The Washington Scholars Program is what is the program and foundation started by George Mason University. Um, it is comprised of two different programs: the Washington Youth Summit on the Environment, which is what I am attending, and they also offer the Washington Journalism and Media Conference for high schoolers as well. Both programs are 1 week and are hosted at George Mason University and other local locations. The Washington Scholars Program aims to give students real-life job experience as well as experience into college. Uh, with Within the program, students get to meet very important professionals in their respective program, such as this year, I will be able to meet with the head of technology at EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, who is currently focusing on integrating technology to hopefully make biological processes um, such as like using technology to analyze forests for damage areas, areas that are overcrowded to the point where we need to take action. One of these programs is called ArcGIS. It's a global information system, kind of like Google Maps, but more specifically for environmental careers. And then I will also be able to meet the senior most biologist at the Smithsonian National Zoo in DC, among other professionals such as the head of technology and biology at the Department of Homeland Security, and other professionals from agencies such as the U.S. Geographical Service and the U.S. Forest Service. Next slide. Okay, so first I want to show you just kind of a temporary schedule that to give you an idea of some of the things that I will be able to do thanks to all of your amazing fundraising. So the event will be going from Sunday to Friday, June 23rd to 28th. So on Sunday, we arrive around 4 o'clock in DC. Then we were going to have an opening dinner ceremony where we meet the heads of the program and get to learn about them and discuss with them just about the environment, share our specific interests, and do sort of a meet and greet. On Monday, kind of the highlight is going to be attending a very prestigious behind the scenes tour at the National Zoo, where we will get to go into their actual biological facilities, where they conduct all of their research and also look at their veterinary centers, as well as some of the centers where they identify foreign insects on animals, try and look at different diseases that animals have, as well as design new habitats for animals, and so that we can create better, healthier lives for animals in the zoo that sadly, after rehabilitation at the zoo, cannot be released back into a natural habitat due to some sort of injury or illness that they have incurred. Monday evening, we will get to attend something called the Twilight Moment Tour, where we will be going to the National Mall and we will be able to, we're going to be viewing the Lincoln Memorial, the Korean and Vietnam War Memorial, as well as the World War II Memorial, the Holocaust Memorial, and I believe also the Washington Monument. On Tuesday, we are going to be doing field visits where I will be able to conduct actual collegiate level scientific research with college graduate professionals. As of right now, we are not the field visits that we will be attending are not set in stone, but I'll talk about some of the uh, options for the field visits on the next slide. Tuesday night, we are going to be seeing the keynote speaker, which is supposedly an official from National Geographic that heads up a lot of their international environmental research, such as research that they do in Antarctica or places like the tropical forests in Africa or in South America, like places around the Amazon. Wednesday, we will also be meeting with other speakers. Like I mentioned earlier, people from the EPA, people from Homeland Security, Environmental, and Scientific Division, as well as a lot of other government and private agencies. Thursday, we have the incredibly unique experience to be able to actually set foot on Capitol Hill and speak with our respective members of Congress, where I will be able to speak with my Congress member, Kevin Kiley, and discuss the environment with him, ask him about what he's doing to help the environment, what kind of tasks or what kind of issues he faces in trying to help our environment, because sadly that is a big thing, as the government is built to serve the people. A lot of environmental decisions, the government has left up to votes from the people. So a lot of people will vote no on projects that they do not understand because they don't like how it sounds, such as up here in the Sierra Nevada specifically, people are vetoing a lot of operations to log and thin forests, even though they don't understand how critically overstocked our forests are. That's why California catches fire so often, because our forests are incredibly overpacked. Before we came around and took fire off of the landscape, like controlled fire and just letting fire burn, Native Americans would let wildfires happen every couple of years, and it would take out trees, and they would never have wildfires over 100,000 acres. That was completely unheard of till we started creating management policies. Thursday night, we will have the Wise Gala, which will be a kind of farewell, kind of hurrah dinner, where we will hear closing remarks from the keynote speaker, as well as the heads of the program. There are also supposedly awards that people can win within the program for being like key participants, helping out, and just showing general true interest in the program. And Friday, sadly, that is the day that we leave, so we do not have much planned Friday. Next slide, please. Perfect. Sorry, that might be a little, it might be a little small, but oh well. So this is also a sample schedule that they've created as kind of a more detailed look into what the schedule is most likely going to look like for the summit. As you can see for Sunday, like I said, we will be doing, well, obviously, when we arrive, we will get a tour of the campus, as well as a tour of the dormitory facilities where we will be staying on the campus. Then we will have dinner along with a lecture from the opening speaker. Then we will also meet with our designated like smaller focus groups, where we will learn about each other, be able to network, also talk with professionals, possibly learn about job and college opportunities. And then later on, we just go to bed. Monday, we will be going to the Smithsonian's National Zoo, where we will have a directed like tour of all of the zoo, and then we'll have lunch within the zoo premises. Then in our focus groups, we will be able to speak with Smithsonian biologists and researchers. And then we will go to a panel more like broad panel discussion with other Smithsonian staff. After that, we will have a short period of time to do free exploration of the zoo if there's anything we missed earlier that we wanted to go back and look at. But we still will have guides with us to help answer questions and teach us more about the exhibits and what goes into creating a national zoo and animal rehabilitation center. As I said, we will also be going on the Twilight Moment tour. So we'll be seeing the White House, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam, the War Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, as well as the Lincoln Memorial. And there's also been discussion that we might be able to also go see the Washington Monument. On Tuesday, I'm not going to read all of them off, but you can see all of the options for field visits down there. There are a couple that are currently not on that list that have been added, such as touring a what's called I think it's called an Ecro Ag Center, which is like a very eco-conscious agricultural farm where they try to like make their own power, repurify their own water, try to minimize their carbon footprint by supplying themselves with a lot of their own materials as much as possible. Then we will have the opportunity to go and use a simulation facility at the Smithsonian Mason Biology and Conservation Institute that night, which is supposedly incredibly fascinating, as it is an incredibly high-tech simulation facility. And then next slide. Wednesday, we'll be mainly focusing on speaking with National Geographic and a lot of professionals from their corporation. And we will also be receiving lecture from our keynote speaker, which is going to be very interesting. Thursday, we will be meeting on Capitol Hill, where we will be able to meet with our congressman or congresswoman, and just speak with them, ask about how they go about changing things, more specifically in the environment, like creating bills to help the environment. Like currently, Kevin Kiley is trying to promote a Clean Water Act, uh, uh, more specifically for the Sacramento area, because there's a issue in Sacramento right now where um, people are facing unhealthy, they're getting supplies of unhealthy water, which should not should not be happening. That is never something someone should have to face. Um, so he is trying to get an act so that we can get funding to uh, renew pipelines to be so that they could be made of better, safer materials, and ensure that the water is being thoroughly tested and refined so that everyone can have clean water in our area. Um, then we also will most likely get to have a tour of where Congress meets, and we will also be able to go to the Smithsonian Museum, most likely the natural history uh, portion of the museum. Then Friday, when we leave, um, we will have closing ceremonies, and then we leave. Next slide, please. Okay, so just to reiterate some of the logistics, the summit is June 23rd to 28th. The cost of the summit was $2,500, and that did not include airfare. There were other expenses that I have come upon, such as needing a professional attire because my family is not the most financially well off. I have never been able to afford a suit in the past. So through fundraisers, including the fundraiser you guys held and other fundraisers that I benefited from, I was able to get a suit and and be able to go to the summit. When I received the letter originally saying that I had been um, asked to participate and selected as a delegate from California, I was extremely excited, but I didn't think that was going to be able to happen because my family does not have that kind of money. Also, your funding will go towards will help me purchase a couple of books that I am supposed to read before the trip that I have not been able to find in libraries in my county. And I will also be housed at the college dormitory in a center reserved exclusively for WISE delegates only. Next slide. Okay, so what all is included in the $2,500? So that includes 6 days of environmental conservation and leadership skill development, including lots of hands-on activities like the simulation and field visits, where we get to perform college research experiments, and special access to exclusive facilities such as the simulation facility, other facilities within the Smithsonian Conservation Institute, and also the uh, reimbursement for speakers and experts to take time out of their day to come and teach us. It also covers a mentor for the week that we will be able to discuss with, that is also an environmental, like someone who really cares about the environment and has like an environmental focused major. also covers transportation to and from Dulles International Airport and Reagan National Airport, as well as motor coach transportation between the program locations, um, breakfasts and dinners, including all but two of the lunches. We were supposed to bring about $30 to cover two out-of-pocket lunches. One of those is on Capitol Hill. One of those is at the Smithsonian National Zoo. It also helps cover the funding for the WISE Summit dinner and gala, where it will be like a very nice professional dinner with many guests and speakers, along with we will also have access to full-time counselors to help assist us with anything we may need. The money also covers expenses to have 24-hour staff available to us and to parents of students should they ever need to reach us in an emergency. It also covers a certificate of completion, and it says 1 college credit there, but it is actually they've said that it is actually going to be 3 college credits, so that is the same amount of credits that you would get from a typical semester long college class. Next slide. So lastly, I want to talk about the impact that all of you Rotarians have bestowed upon me. So I truly mean this when I say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I've known about this summit for years, and I've been dreaming of being invited for many years now. When I received the letter that I was one of 300 people from all across the US, including our territories, and like provinces like the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, I was incredibly excited. But I thought, oh, that's cool. I can't go to that because that's a lot of money. I don't have that kind of money. Then I was talking one day about it with my uncle, and then I started talking to Renee about it, and she offered to propose a fundraiser in your Rotary Club. And when Renee said that, I kind of realized, wow, I think this can happen. I'll be able to actually go to this, which is amazing. And thanks to the generosity of the Silicon Valley Rainbow Rotary Club, along with other donors, I am now able to go to the Washington Youth Summit on the Environment, which is truly a once in a lifetime opportunity that only actually about 100 kids actually attend each year. 300 kids are invited. Typically about only 100 kids actually can go. So I am one of 100 kids out of about 360 million people in the in the United States, not including the populations of our territories. This opportunity will give me tons of job experience for after high school and give me networking connections to help me get into colleges and get jobs and guide me through life so that I can lead a successful career in environmental science. Next slide. So that's it. I wanted to give a few thank yous. First, I want to thank the Silicon Valley Rainbow Rotary Club as a whole. Then I would like to specifically thank Renee, Cheryl, my family and friends, including um, my Aunt Suzanne and Auntie Vicky, because they helped me with the airfare, which was going to be a lot more money. And that was absolutely amazing of them to be able to help me with. Next, I just have a couple of website links if you would like to. Oh, wait, never mind. They're not showing. Um, anyways, um, wanted to thank you all again. Now I saw that I have some questions, so I'm going to answer some of those questions. And also, I am going to share um, the link to the website on how to find plants native to your area.
That was amazing, Tyler. Thank you so much. I love how much you have done in your short life, and I look forward to seeing what you do the rest of your life. And I think that this Washington Youth Summit on the Environment is going to be a launching pad for you as you think about your future career, like you said. And, just wish you luck. And we want to have you come back and tell us all about it when you're back from the summit.
Definitely, I would love to do that. I'm going to take lots of pictures and document all of my experiences so that I can come back and share my experiences with the Rotary Club because you helped me achieve this. Um, yeah, thank you everyone again for setting up the fundraiser and just everything.
You are more than welcome. And I know there's a question from Ikram in the
Oh,
chat.
perfect.
Ikram, did you want to ask that? Do you want me to just read it?
You can read it. I think everybody can
Okay.
read it, right?
Yeah.
How does a forest become so damaged that nothing can grow back? What's that threshold?
So it it depends on the specific forest. There are many different types of forests. It also depends on the types of trees that grow in that forest. So in the CZU, the Santa Cruz Complex Fire, um, the main type of trees that are prevalent in Santa Cruz are uh, giant sequoias and coastal redwoods. Those are types of trees that um, they require direct contact to the soil, if not having their seedlings dropped like below like soil level to be able to germinate and regrow. After a fire, there is so much burnt debris and rubble that none of the seeds can get to the forest floor to be able to germinate and root properly. Um, Also, another factor that plays into this is, um, well, first, let me talk a little bit about how wildfires work. There's two different types of wildfires. There's what's called a ground fire, which is when the fire just kind of burns the brush on the floor, not very intense. It's typically in areas with that are properly thinned with mainly very old trees, like in the redwoods, but much more spaced out and thinned to a healthy level. Um, the reason it sticks to the ground is because there are no smaller trees to catch to lead it to what's called the crown, the all the canopy cover from the tall trees. That leads me to a crown fire. Crown fires are what we typically see in California. That's the 100,000 acre plus fires that we see, which are incredibly devastating. Um, so when a crown fire happens, it does this incredibly unique thing where it creates its own weather system. So it typically creates its own system of dry weather, drying all of the plants out. So even the plants that aren't currently on fire in the area still can't get moisture and survive. Um, cuts off a lot of um, uh, cuts off a lot of moisture and nutrient flow to all the plants. Um, Also, within its ecosystem, it creates these things called firestorms, which are incredibly terrifying. Um, it is when the fire becomes so intense that it creates its own miniature cyclones that um, how do I explain this? It creates its own moving fire cyclones. So basically, the fire starts flying around, which is very terrifying. And that spreads everything a lot faster. And that, because of it, always keeps in the firestorm keeps in contact with the ground at such a focused point. It creates so much heat on the ground that it destroys all of the root systems in the ground around it. So like even those super tall, amazing coastal redwoods that are like 300 years old, they you can't even hug. They're like 4 feet in diameter. Um, it kills them. It kills their root systems, so they can no longer survive. They can absorb solar energy, but they can't absorb any water. So once they run out of the water and nutrient supply that's in their system, they die. Um, that is kind of how forests become so damaged that nothing can grow back. Is it destroys the root systems and does what's called sterilizing the soil. It basically gets the soil so hot that it destroys all, like it just evaporates and burns all of the nutrients in the ground, destroys all the nutrients, destroys all of the microorganisms, destroys all the earthworms, all the insects that help the trees, along with uh, it also destroys this type of fungi called mycorrhizae, which connect the trees and help um, take nutrients from trees that have excess and transport them to other trees. So now the trees cannot get nutrients from each other, but the mycorrhizae also allow them to talk to each other, which is kind of crazy. We haven't cracked the code to that yet. Um, but the mycorrhizae send through the mycorrhizae, trees send signals to each other in their own uh, language, sort of. So they can send signals to each other, and without those signals, they just grow. They don't know when to stop growing. They just try to grow. They can't figure out where the ground is. They can't figure out if they have nutrients. They can't figure out if there's water nearby. It basically, it would be like cutting off all of our senses as a person and trying and telling us, hey, you go live your life. It's really hard. So basically, when you cut off all of these things, like their access to be able to communicate, the nutrients in the surrounding area, and add all of the foot of burned debris and what becomes charcoal made out of the trees, the seedlings can't they can't germinate, they can't start to grow, which is incredibly sad. So what you would do in that situation to remedy that is you need to get a logging crew out there to get all of the burned, um, even just barely burned trees out of there. They get all of them out, they pull stumps and all. Then they go in, they mix up the soil, they recompact it. They'll typically do mini plantations where they will plant about 100 saplings in a span of about 40 acres so that at least about a quarter of those saplings survive and go and repopulate the area and recreate the forest to a healthy and manageable level.
Yeah, fire is very scary. I remember when there was, I think it was up in the Sierra, I read, it was the one that destroyed paradise. They said that it was burning a football field size chunk of forest every second. It's like you can't even
Um,
comprehend that.
what was that? I believe that was the Cook Fire.
Yeah,
Um, but there have been sadly so many fires
so
up
many.
in Paradise. Up
Yes,
here,
very
just a
true.
few years back, I was evacuated
Mm,
during the Caldor fire.
yeah.
That was pretty scary, but luckily we're okay. Our house is okay.
Yep. Yep, yep. There was another question in the chat from Sandy about have you checked into internships with your local parks department and forestry service?
I have. So there are a lot of amazing opportunities. Sadly, I did have to pass up on one opportunity that I really would have liked to do with the Forest Service, where we go out and plant trees, we survey, we manage forests, but it is taking place during the summit, and they do not have they're not very lenient with interns as far as missing days. So knowing that I would have conflicts, they typically would not hire me, according to the project supervisor that heads up those internships.
That's unfortunate.
It is, but there are lots of great opportunities. Like this summer, I'm going to volunteer at the Sierra Wildlife Rescue.
Nice.
And just go and basically sit in one of their facilities and take care of baby birds.
Nice.
So I'm going to take care of baby birds and other creatures like opossums, um, which much to uh, much to or much other than what people think, they're actually like, yes, they can be mean, but they're super safe. They're never a danger to you. They don't carry any diseases. They're actually far more clean than we could ever be. Um, to the point where like they can't contract any disease, and they're a very unique creature that they're the only marsupial in North America. Marsupials being mammals that uh, grow their babies in a pouch, like kangaroos, wallabies, and that is super unique. So I'll be able to care for them and uh, baby birds, like tons of different species, such as endangered hawks. Um, the program director said they've even gotten a bald eagle in before, so that would be amazing
Wow.
to not necessarily care for a bald eagle specifically, but just to be able
See one.
to see one up close and respect it and just be able to learn from it and see it grow. That would be amazing. Um, oh,
Very good. So Tyler, you've gotten a lot of love in
yeah.
the meeting chat. I don't know if you've been watching it, but getting lots of kudos for your presentation style and the amount of information you shared. So congrats on that. We do need to wrap up, so we'll just see if there's one final question from the audience, and if not, we'll let you all who are not part of the club let you know that we're going to move on to just a little bit of club business. And those of you who are not part of the club are welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to drop if you want. So one last question for Tyler, anyone? Going once, going twice.
Have you ever been stung by a bee?
I have, but never while beekeeping. that's the great thing about beekeeping is, at least I've been taught and learned how to you have to act in a very specific way around bees. And if you do those things along with wearing a proper beekeeping suit, you should not get stung. I move slowly around them. I move very calmly. If I talk at all around them, I speak very softly in a nice, like, calm voice. I never speak loudly around them. I always make sure I silence my phone so my ringer can't go off and disturb them. You
I'm now
also
going to think of you as the bee whisperer.
Yeah. So talk about bee whispers. I don't know if any of you saw the magazine photo of Angelina Jolie with the bees, and
Oh,
supposedly
yes.
supposedly she didn't bathe for 4 days for that photo shoot. So I don't know. Tyler, have you found that not bathing helps?
No, that has nothing to do with it.
Old wise tale, maybe. Well, anyway, thank you again, Tyler. Let's give
Yeah.
him a round of applause. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming to talk to us.
Yeah, it was amazing coming to talk to you all.